welcome to another edition of the Stogie Review video review. I am Walt White, your host, so to speak, and this week I am doing the El Titan de Bronze in the Redemption line by the El Titan de Bronze Cigar Manufacturing Company. And El Titan de Bronze is down in Miami, Florida, and their head blender roller is a man by the name of Pablo Romay, and he's a veteran with 25 years experience down in Cuba and the Romeo Julieta factory. Now, as I had mentioned, the El Titan de Bronze Cigar Company is down in Miami, Florida. It's on Calle Ocho, which is 8th Street, and the company is down on 8th and 11th Street. And they share that block, I believe, with famed cigar factories such as the La Gloria Cubana and the El Rey de los Habanos factory, which is Don Pepin's place. Now, until recently, El Titan de Bronze had cigars made on premises for local sales, and they decided to go another direction and make their cigars available nationwide. And from what I understand, this is their first take at it. This is actually a pre-release cigar that's going to be available over at the IPCPR trade show out in Vegas, and from there it's going to be distributed across the country. Now, first and foremost, before I go into cutting and lighting a cigar, I want to look over it like usual. And the first thing that caught my eye was the color. This is an Ecuadorian sun-grown Habano wrapper. It's also got a Nicaraguan filler and binder. The price point is between $5 and $6. And this is a Robusto. It's a 5x50. Now, anyway, back to the wrapper. It's got sort of a warm leather color to it, a nice deep, rich brown. It's got a nice sort of spicy aroma on the wrapper, and a real deep, earthy flavor on the foot. It's got some small dainty veins that give it sort of light streaks like you would see in leather, which is kind of cool. And it's, from the looks of it, it's got a triple cap which is mounted. And what I mean by a mounted triple cap is that if I were to peel this cap off piece by piece, it would come off in 3 separate pieces. A lot of times what you'll see is when the cigar is rolled, the leftover tobacco, which is still, the wrapper leaf, is used to start the cap. So you don't have 3 separate caps. They're beginning the formation of the cap with the with the wrapper that's already there. But that's probably boring stuff. But anyway, I'm find my cutter, and then I'm gonna get started with the cigar. Now, as I mentioned, these are pre-release cigars. I got these from Willie. I don't recall Willie's last name actually. And he's a partner down at El Titan de Bronze. It looks like it's owned by 2 people. It was now I'm gonna have to look at it real quick because I need his last name to determine the company combination. Herencia, it looks like La Herencia Cubana and the El Titan de Bronze are a formation of what it looks like to be 2 companies into one now. But at any rate, now I'm starting to confuse myself. And one thing I wanted to note was that there's not a whole lot of information available about this particular cigar, so I've been really struggling to come up with the very basic information I've given you. And all it really was a mix and match from CigarJack.net, CigarMonkey.com, Black Cat Cigar Company, and Mr. Bundles. And I just kind of melded the information together. Now, there was a little bit of information on the El Titan de Bronze website, but not nearly as much as I would have liked. I mean, there's some good information here. It's just I like to get more in depth with the cigar itself, not just the company. But since it's a pre-release cigar, there's no information available, so just kind of got to deal with it. And it's been a week, and it feels like I haven't done this forever. I feel so out of practice with this video and whatnot. Maybe I ought to start doing 2 or 3 back to back, and then just working ahead of myself. Now I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that I was going to do this cigar sooner. Unfortunately, when I got them, they were a little wet. They came at a very humid time, and instead of removing them from this cellophane package which held 6 cigars, I just left it in the package and tossed it in the humidor, and it wasn't able to expel any of that humidity. So, when I went to review it, I picked it up and it was kind of wet, so I had to let it sit a week, and then another week, and then another week, and then now it's finally they've settled out. They've sort of met equilibrium with everything else in my humidor, and now I'm ready to get smoking on them. Now, by popular demand, I lit the cigar and I stayed on camera. I've got several requests that people wanted to get my initial impressions of the burn, and so far it looks good. I've got just a tiny bit of blistering on the wrapper, which is probably due to me scorching it a little bit. The ash is fairly dark at this point, and everything is nice and even. I mean, there's really not a whole lot to say about it. The draw is very nice. There's just a little bit of resistance to it. It feels free-flowing. So, with that said, I'm going to kick back, take a little bit of a break. I'll be right back. We'll get started on the first third. Well, welcome back. And as you can see, I'm getting most of the way through the first third now. And I'm enjoying the cigar very much at this point. This is my third, and it's actually the best one I've had so far. I mentioned that when I initially got these, they were a little wet. Well, I tried to smoke one anyway, and the flavors weren't bad or anything. I just had a difficult time keeping the cigar lit and maintaining it and whatnot because it was, it was over humidified. A couple days later, possibly even a week and a half, I sparked up a second one while my wife and I took a walk around the neighborhood. That cigar smoked much better. It was still a little wet, it was still a little finicky. I had to touch it up a few times as we were walking, but nonetheless, it was performing, but it wasn't, it just wasn't settled out enough to do the review yet. So I picked up the cigar today. I felt it, I felt good and ready to go. So I lit it up, and here we are. And I'm not having hardly any burn problems. Now the burn line is a little erratic. It becomes slightly wavy, and then it evens out, and then a few minutes later it goes slightly wavy and evens out again. So there's a little bit of variation there. All of it's well within reason. I've had to touch the cigar up one time, and that was completely my fault. I got a little sidetracked when I went to get a glass of water, and when I came back, the cigar was just about out. So, of course, at that point, it needed a touch-up. The draw, it's still just like it was before. It's free. There's just a little bit of resistance there that keeps you from overdrawing, and provides a very nice volume of smoke. I mean, each puff just gives you a mouthful. This very thick, dense smoke. Same smoke that you can easily blow smoke rings with, get through your sinuses and whatnot. The first couple of puffs from the cigar after I cut the camera off were very interesting. The first thing that came to mind was like over buttered popcorn. It was a very interesting flavor, and then the second and third puff were just this very rich, dense cedar flavor. Just imagine taking a desktop humidor that hasn't been opened for, let's say, a month, and cracking the lid open for the first time in that time frame, and you just get just this very rich, aromatic cedar flavor, cedar aroma, and that's exactly what I got out of the cigar. Now, after I took about half a dozen puffs, it started to settle out and go away, and then there was more of this. What I'm getting now is more of like a sweet and salty mix, which is interesting. Now the cedar base is still there. It's just not even remotely close to as dominant as it was. in addition to that that sweet and salty mix, I'm getting like a black pepper and leather flavor in the background, which is keeping the smoke very interesting. In terms of body, it's about medium, and when I say body being medium, there isn't a ton of mouthfeel to the smoke. Now, the strength, on the other hand, the oomph behind the smoke is very much full. It's very aggressive on the palate. I mean, you take a puff and you'll feel it, sort of like a mild tingling sensation on the tongue and on the roof of your mouth. But it doesn't leave that heavy coating, which most people deem body. In this case, it's medium-bodied, full-flavored, full strength. And the finish is fairly smooth as well. I mean, just because of that little bit of a tingle on the tongue and the roof of my mouth, it doesn't make a harsh cigar. It's still very much smooth, and just the mix and combination of things that are going on with this cigar are very interesting, and I'm very happy with it so far. As far as my smoke time, I've been at this for about 40 minutes now, and you know, it's going strong. The burn rate seems about average for me. The resting smoke is about average as well. The room aroma, there's it's difficult to sort of smell a cigar when you're sitting in the room. You know, when you leave and come back, I'm getting like a cedar aroma, but just kind of sitting in a cloud of smoke, I'm not getting a whole lot of aroma out of it. You just kind of get accustomed to it, and you don't notice it as much. But like I said, I'm enjoying the cigar very much at this point. So without overdoing it and talking too much, I'm going to take a quick break, take a look at a few photos of the El Titan de Bronze Redemption, and listen to a track from podshow.com, and I'll be right back. We'll get started on the second third. Welcome back. And well, as you can see, I'm plugging right along. I'm about 3/4 of the way through the second third, and just like before, I'm enjoying the cigar very much. There's been a couple of changes, and the most obvious one is the ash. It's gone from a fairly light gray, and it's gotten much darker now, and it's actually becoming a little flaky. I don't know whether you saw that on my arm or not, but I had a couple of pieces just drop suddenly there. Everything else in terms of the burning characteristics have been just fine. The draw is just like it was before. You know, it's free. There's a little bit of resistance there that keeps you from over puffing and overheating the cigar. The resting smoke is the same as it has been. The volume of smoke is the same. The changes have come in the form of body and flavor. Now, the finish is the same as it was before. It's smooth, it's nice and enjoyable. The body seems to be picking up a little bit, and again, body in terms of mouthfeel. It's still sort of medium to full. It doesn't give you that really thick, syrupy kind of feel that you get out of a very full-bodied cigar, but it does have the punch of a full strength cigar. So there's definitely some power behind it, but the body isn't overly heavy, and it doesn't sort of give you that sort of, I don't know, molasses sort of feeling in your mouth. Now, the base flavor changed a little bit. It went from that sort of sweet, salty mix to a more of a woody and leathery component. And again, just like before, the black pepper is there in the background, and it does a very nice job of contrasting this the woody and leathery mix. And it keeps everything very interesting. The smoke rate is about average. I'm at the 70-minute mark now, and you know, I'm just very happy with the cigar. I really wish I would have gotten these settled out and to the proper humidity much quicker. because I really would have liked to have smoked more of these by now. And there is a world of difference between this cigar and the ones that were over humidified. The flavors just come through so much more dominant. They're just more crisp and enjoyable. Where the other one was kind of muddled and obviously having some burn issues. But now that everything is settled out and it's where it should be, I mean, the cigar is smoking very well. I just can't say enough about it. I'm really enjoying it. So really, without a whole lot going on in the cigar, there's really not much to talk about. The only other thing I wanted to note was I wanted to kind of announce our newest sponsor, which is LightersDirect.com. If you look on the upper right-hand side of the page, you'll see a link to LightersDirect.com. Click on the link, check them out. They've got some interesting things there. Back several weeks ago when I went to Cigar Fest, I was there with Mario, who is Maduro Pips on Cigar Live and Nub Live, and Skipper John, who's on both as Skipper John. And they both had these Zippo lighters with the Blazer inserts. And the Zippo lighter was engraved. In Skipper's case, it was a picture of his parents. And Mario owns his own business. And he had his logo engraved on the lighter. And I thought they were really cool. And sure enough, Lighters Direct has that feature. So if you think that's something you might want to do, shoot them an email and find out some more about it. I think I'm going to do the same thing and maybe get a lighter or two made up with the Stogie Review logo, and maybe we'll even give it away at some point. But definitely check them out. Support those who support us. So at any rate, I'm going to take another quick break, pop the band off my I'll tighten the Bronze Redemption and smoke deeper into the cigar. I'll be back for the final third. We'll wrap things up and I'll let you be on your way.
What's inside, don't let them fool you. Must have been shot down from the sky, young lover. You don't deserve to die. All they have is all they'll ever need. Taken for granted what's given for free. Don't let them fool you.
Well, as you can see, it's about time to wrap up my I'll Tighten the Bronze Redemption. And it's on par with what I thought from the very beginning. It's very enjoyable. And I had a nice, relaxing, enjoyable smoke. As I progressed into the final third, the body picked up a little bit. I mean, it was a slow progression. It never reached beyond the medium to full range. Again, just as before, it's a medium to full mouthfeel with full flavors, and it's got a lot of strength behind it. And I don't mean that in just nicotine. It seems to have a nice oomph to it, and there's a nice mixture of body strength and finish. And again, just as before, the finish is nice and smooth, and it's really easy to smoke. Now that sort of aggressive feel on the palate has faded significantly from the first third to now. I mean, there's still just a very slight tingle on the tongue and on the roof of my mouth. But again, it's nice and enjoyable. Now the base flavors have gone from this, it pretty much still is the same flavors, they're just much richer and deeper. There's a nice woody flavor and a leathery component to it. And now, after you expel the smoke, there's a real nice rich creaminess that comes on and just sort of coats your mouth and makes you salivate a little bit. And there's still this black pepper flavor in the background, which does a very nice job of keeping everything interesting and making you think. It just kind of comes on, and it's very subtle, and it's just it shows a lot of character and complexity in the cigar, which is very nice. In the burning characteristics department, the ash is still dark in color. Again, it went from light to dark, and it's still a little flaky, but it's fairly well behaved. It's not making too much of a mess. The burn rate is good. I'm at just under the 2-hour mark now. And again, I'm a slow smoker, so this is about average for me. Actually, it's a little more than just average for me. I expected to get just under 2 hours, and here I am, at the 2-hour mark. And I've still got a good 15 minutes of smoking left. And I'm still getting that nice rich creaminess that's coming on, and I almost don't want to take another puff because it's so enjoyable. It almost cleanses the palate before you're ready to take the next puff and take that shot of flavor. In an overall sense, I really enjoyed the cigar, and I think that with a price point of $5 to $6, it makes for a good value. Now, with these cigars being pre-production, or not so much pre-production, but pre-release, they're a little more difficult to get your hands on. Now, from what I understand, El Titan is trying to move forward with the distribution to make them available before the trade show, but I would really expect to see them a lot more readily available after the trade show and after all the retailers get to actually sample the cigar. But again, I think it's a nice value, and I would definitely recommend picking one up if you happen to go into a cigar shop and see it. I really don't think you'll be disappointed with it. And really, that about wraps up the review. Again, I enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to smoking the last couple that I have left, and I'm actually going to take one to my local B&M owner, and I don't know, maybe he'll pick them up and carry them in the store. I don't know. I'm looking forward to being able to get these more in the future. I was very happy with it. So really, that's it. I don't think I have anything else to say. I'm not quite sure what I'm going to be smoking next week. I have a schedule, and I'm just not sure what's on it. I don't have it sitting in front of me, so I'll be sure to make a note of what I'm smoking, either on Twitter or in the comment section of this review, and we'll go from there. And well, until next week, happy smoking.